Stevenson with New Direction Family Law. We're here today to talk about adoption. Why to adopt, what do you need to do to adopt, and talk about some stories of adoption. I have with me today Marilyn Shannon. She is just this fabulous writer who can get stories from folks from all walks of life, and she has a series of books called In Just One Afternoon. And so we want to talk today about adoption with Marilyn, and I'm going to turn it over to you and go from there.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for welcoming us here.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here.
It's exciting, and yes, I am the author of several books called In Just One Afternoon, and it's on Amazon, and I brought it here to show you. And the first one I'm doing is In Just One Afternoon, Listening into the Hearts of Men. And it has become a #1 bestseller on Amazon, so I'm really excited about that. I interviewed 22 men about their life stories, their secrets, their passions, their how-tos, and it was really exciting. And people asked me, how did you get to 22? And I said, well, I prayed for 10, and 10 showed up, and it was fabulous. And the 10 showed up, and then I said, okay, bring me some more. And more came, and all these men had great stories, and they wanted to share. And I got to the 22nd one because it was my husband. And his story is what actually attracted me to him, and our anniversary is tomorrow.
Aww.
We got married 15 years, right? Right, it will be. But his story is what attracted me. It was the story of his adoption and having a son. And it was just, and so it's in my book, and it's a beautiful story as all of the others. But this one I am personally attached to, and I always wanted to adopt. And I got married to a man who did, and I said to our son last night, I always wanted you, and here you are. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark and let him take on telling me the story of Christopher.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me here too. And so my adoption experience came out of nowhere as far as me controlling it or pushing towards it. Though I was married for 9 or 10 years when we had 2 children, and we were getting divorced, so we weren't going to do anything else. But in my early, thoughts about getting married and being a father, I'm the oldest of 9 siblings too, so I have I'm not afraid of children.
Obviously not.
And they're not
planned or unplanned. So Christopher is his name, and as our marriage ended, and we were separated, and Laura was in a relationship and got pregnant, and the father left in 3 months. So, she went through the rest of that experience, by herself. I certainly knew about it at some point there, and it was kind of like he's going to be half brother and sister of my children. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm skipping out of line there. So my earlier experience about adoption or thoughts in marriage, I was open to it. I mean, it didn't happen between Laura and I in our relationship that way, but I would have been fine considering it. And I was a ZPG person, so zero population growth. I had 2 kids, and then that's going to be it, because that's what was happening back in the 70s. So we got there, and then this situation just came up, and honestly I can say there I was facing my values of loving someone, which I did, and my son and daughter, they loved Christopher before he was born too, and it helped. It was a weird situation to be saying, well, I adopt my ex-wife's son.
That's pretty courageous. Yeah.
But it worked for them too. And when they said that they'd like me to do that, that's all we needed to hear. So,
How many years ago? How old is he?
21.
Oh my God, a grown man. Wow.
Yeah, and Mark started taking him when he was 3 months old full time. Like when they were already separated, so when he would take the others, he
Right.
took Christopher
Oh.
too. So he would have
Right.
Christopher and Alexandra and Nicholas, and
That's awesome.
yeah, and so we've grown up in our family to celebrate Prasanna Wanza. And you have to say it. It's not something you can just write. Because I was brought up Jewish, of course, Mark is Catholic or whatever. And then Christopher is this big, tall, beautiful, black,
Right.
I say little, but he's really 10 feet tall to me.
Right.
And so we used to laugh about that. We got to celebrate
Right.
Prasanna
I
Wanza.
love that. That's awesome. That's a great story. I don't hear stories like that in my line of work very often, so really, it's wonderful.
And these are the kinds of stories that I know you want to put out there.
I do, because there's so much good in the world, and so much good can come of a bad situation, and people just open their hearts up to that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And through these stories, these situations, they don't have to be bad.
Mm-mm.
I mean, like Christopher said last night, he's blessed.
He is.
He's blessed, and and we are too. So that's what this is all about.
That's
And then
right.
there's you.
Yeah,
And it's to help all these blessings happen.
That's true. Sort of fall in your lap sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, I was, mine's very different from yours. My husband and I, we tried and tried, to get pregnant. And I always thought when I was a little girl, that's all I wanted was like 3 kids. And I couldn't get pregnant. So we went through the in vitro, we did all that. And then I came to the realization that it's not about being pregnant, it's about having a child. But it takes a kind of a great leap of faith and a step to get to that point. And then we got with a Child's Hope, which is here in Raleigh. It's a private adoption agency, and they're wonderful. It's Parker Herring. She's actually a family law attorney too. And it's like it's almost like Match.com for adoptive parents. So you have to put your profile up, write your little thing. And so the biological parents sort of picked us, and so we went to meet them. I remember riding to Charlotte and thinking that was the hardest thing I've ever done. But then we met them, we all just sort of fell in love with each other. So we were there when John Thorne was born. So he's been mine since the moment he came here, and I've never thought of him. I don't even think I think of him as adopted. He's just mine, And so it was a lovely experience, and it was quick for us. I mean, by the time we signed up and had him, it may have been 4 months. But there are a lot of people who wait a long time. So we truly were blessed. But he is now 5'9", 14 years old, and he's off to camp, and he's just grown into this lovely young man. So I understand how you feel completely, But he's my one and only, and so I was really blessed. God somehow put us together, and I'm not quite sure how.
Well, who knows?
And I don't care. It's just that he's just here.
And that's the point. Everybody deserves to be loved.
Right.
And
Right.
so this is why this is an exciting chat.
Right.
Because we get to talk about this.
Right. I think it's I don't like to talk about it at all. I mean, my child knows. I don't know about your son, but since he was like 3 or 4, he's known. I mean, he's always known he was adopted. And here are your birth parents, and if you ever want to find them, here's how you can do that, kind of thing. So it's always been sort of,
Yeah, and
for us.
Yeah, and Christopher's mom has discussed it with him, but he was always known.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that he was adopted, that Mark adopted him, and in fact, he is so similar to him in so many ways. It's like it's kind of freaky.
Freaky, yeah.
I think he's kind of similar to me too. But he really is gentle.
Right.
He's very gentle, like he is, and
Right.
he can well up too, and all that
Right,
stuff. So he's
right.
a beautiful 21-year-old man. And,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and our families are very tight that way. So
Right.
we offer this experience so other families,
Right.
individuals can have that same or something similar
Right.
experience, and kids can find their way.
Right.
And like you said, you know, he's always been yours.
Yeah.
And how else can it be?
Right. And it's that, you know, I really want to, I wish we can help people understand how fabulous adoption is, and it's not about the legacy genetically of your family, but it's about your family and the love and connection that you have in that way. Right.
And so you have specific information to help individuals, you know, go through that process.
Right. We don't do private. Our law firm does not do private adoptions. But adoption agencies like the Child's Hope do. But we do help step parents, grandparents, any sort of familial group that wants to adopt. We can do that. We also work in the juvenile system with termination of parental rights when a father is out there. But won't give up his rights, but isn't involved at all. And there's a stepdad waiting in the wings to adopt. So there are judicial ways to sort of help that happen.
Right.
And so those are the sorts of things that we help with.
Is that happening a lot now? Is there a trend towards grandparents, other family members, a stepfather? Is there a lot of that going on?
I don't know that there's a lot. I think the grandparents piece for us comes in, unfortunately, when biological parents are, as the court calls them, unfit or have lost their constitutional right to parent because of an addiction or because of a mental health issue. So we see more of that just because of the opioid crisis and the drug addiction. But otherwise, it's not. I don't see a large trend of that happening. A lot of people want to come in. There are a lot of fathers who want to terminate their parental rights voluntarily because they don't want to pay child support. And the courts will say no to that because they want somebody to be financially responsible for the child. So if there's not a step parent or someone waiting to adopt that child, the father cannot consent to terminate his rights. So that's sort of an issue sometimes.
But they still don't pay. Sometimes
They still don't pay, and I have a hard time with that because it keeps this child in limbo, unfortunately.
Right.
You know. So.
And I guess you have a lot of teenagers today getting pregnant. And
Right. Well, actually, that's a trend that's going down, which is
It's
a
going
good
down?
thing. Oh, yeah, definitely.
terrific.
Which is good. So, and in North Carolina, if a juvenile has a child, the grandparents can be financially responsible for them because that child is a minor. So there are some consequences to that. The grandparents, you know, if you have a minor child who becomes pregnant, you might want to speak to an attorney to find out what you as grandparents, what your legal rights and options are in that situation too.
And the agencies today, I mean, I didn't even realize that just a lot of people going to, you know, Russia and, you know, is that
China.
in China?
China, right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's still.
It is. International adoption's gotten a little tighter. It's not as like it used to be in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But there are so many children in foster care, you know, that need a home and need a place, and that's a real need in this area, especially.
Really? So that's a. And so what does somebody do to follow that path?
You need to get it. The best way to do that is go through Department of Human Services in Wake County, and you can go through foster care. You have to be licensed to do that, to foster, and then a lot of times if you foster, you don't always adopt, but you may have the opportunity to do that because these children are put in that system because their own parents have neglected or abused them, so they're in the Child Protective Services. In Child Protective Services, you know, their goal is for reunification with the parents, but sometimes that doesn't happen.
Right.
And so then when that doesn't happen, the only other option is to place that child for adoption if possible.
I'm getting ready to interview a young couple, and for my millennial book, and I was drawn to them because I overheard their story. I'm an eavesdropper, and when I hear a good story, man, I just want to share it. And it's a young couple and she has a business, and I believe he has a business, and they had the opportunity. They were going to foster a child, and they got called that there were 3.
Aww.
And so they took the 3,
Right.
and they've waited and waited because about the mother, the biological
Right.
mother, and so she lost her rights,
Mhm.
and they recently got to adopt the three of them. And it's
That's a beautiful.
it's a
story.
beautiful
Yeah.
story, and they're young. They're like in like 30,
Wow.
and they have these. I think they're 3 girls,
That's amazing.
and it's amazing. Like she was telling me, just taking them to Barnes and Noble was just a thrill because they never
Never
saw-
been.
They never been.
Yeah.
They'd never been.
And they come with, unfortunately, they come with issues because of how, what has happened to them and where they came from. And so there's extra things like mental health services or maybe developmental disabilities.
Right.
So I think parents, if you go to the foster care system and adopt that way, you have to be really prepared for those sorts of challenges.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you never, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. And I said something to Christopher last night. Do you remember what that was? Where I asked him a question about it being difficult, having been raised this way. And he said, no, and it hasn't been difficult, and it could be the same for any child brought up in any household, regardless of whether they were adopted or not.
Right.
I mean, we're all faced with the unknown,
Exactly.
right? So
Right.
whether you give birth naturally or you adopt,
Right.
the chances are you never know.
Right. Right.
But when you do have an opportunity to know, you have to really, kind of
Right.
think about it.
Right. Well, you not only have a blended family and adoptive family, but you've got the interracial piece
Yes.
too. Did
Yes.
that add any sort of layer of extra texture, issues, anything like that for you guys? Or for Christmas?
That's interesting. I don't always think about it too much, but what do you think?
No, I think inside the family, so I have 4 brothers, 4 sisters. They all love Christopher. I mean, they just be like that. And my mom and dad too.
Right.
So I'm blessed. I'm really blessed that way.
Absolutely.
And
There's-
my side might have been a little different. My father was very much in the old school.
Right.
But as soon as he met Christopher,
Right.
there would
Yeah.
be many nights when my parents would come and visit. And you would talk, and Christopher would go sit in the back room, where my parents were. And I would see my father and Christopher like kiss on the lips.
Aww.
And my father was brought up, real strict.
Right,
I
right.
mean, but yet, love.
Right. Right.
And so, no, that has never really been any kind of issue. And our grandsons, I mean, they are, 5, almost 3 and 2.
Right.
Well, the 2-year-old probably doesn't notice
Right.
anything. The 3-year-old maybe. The 5-year-old, he could care less. He once watched Chris Rock on TV and he said, "Oh, he looks like Uncle Chris." That's about the size of it.
That's cute.
But nobody,
That's awesome.
nobody in our family has. It's never been
That's
any
good.
kind of issue for anybody. And he looks like our, other 2. He looks like Mark's other 2.
But he is a beautiful young man. You can see a
He
picture, I
is.
think on Facebook, was he
Yeah.
graduating?
He
or-
was graduating
yeah,
high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
People
cute.
thought. People thought that was like right now.
I thought he graduated
Yeah.
from college.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, but he's-
other
he's
people
handsome.
did. But he has that family resemblance to Alexandra and Nicholas, but no, they all get along really well. I mean,
That's good.
it's very interesting, and and he's deep, and it's been very interesting
That's good.
to have that experience. And so I highly recommend.
Me too.
Highly recommend for somebody to have the opportunity to, if whether you can or you can't,
Right.
to
Right.
experience. If you can't, it's a marvelous experience to have a child.
Right. I mean, it's not to try, but it's life changing for all involved.
Yeah.
Not just for the child, but I can't imagine my life without him now.
Right. And I honor my husband too.
Absolutely.
To be able to be that kind of man.
Right.
To be, in the book he said, when Alexandra and Nicholas said, who's going to be Christopher's daddy? And Mark turned around and said, I guess I will.
Yeah.
And I think and I know that there are a lot of really great men out there.
There are.
And it's an opportunity for men too. Because there are a lot of women, right, who have no problem adopting on their own.
Right, correct.
So I encourage men to go and do it.
Right.
If you are alone and you're not married and you can have that opportunity to do it, go for it.
Right, I agree.
Right?
Right. It's sort of a daunting process. I don't know if it got so long ago, it's hard to remember, but I mean, there's the background check and the fingerprint and the home study and all of that. So a lot of that sort of scares people off a little, and plus it's sort of a long process, but it's the court's position on that is we want to make sure that this is in the child's best interest. It may feel intrusive, but they're doing it for a good reason. So, if you get with an agency or you get with social services, they can sort of step you through that process, and then it's not so sort of overwhelming, and they can help you go through that.
Right. But they should definitely seek it out.
Right.
I think anybody should.
Oh,
even
I do too.
Same-sex relationships, are phenomenal. I've seen phenomenal men raising children together.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Well, now there are some states that don't allow that, but
Really?
yes,
Does North Carolina?
You're going to ask me that question, and I don't know because I didn't look it up. But I was just reading the paper. There are some other southern states who are not, or are in the process of saying it's not appropriate, which just blows my mind. Because if you can find somebody who's going to open their home to a child that doesn't have a home, why would you not?
Can't even imagine. Because I have seen gay men be so terrific as daddies, and the same with gay women or whatever. Doesn't matter. I mean,
love is love.
Love is love. And if a child, can use a home, why not?
Right. Exactly.
So, I think so. That's good. So if you're listening to this from anywhere in the country, right, you want to check your state.
Check your state. That's right.
Yeah. But some of this information can be anywhere.
Right. Well, laws are different. Laws are different in every state, and they may require different things in every state. So, certainly check with, an attorney in whatever state you're in, an adoption attorney, or with your Department of Social Services, whatever that may be called in your state.
Right. Well, this has been good.
I love sharing. It's like a happy story, so that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and if you get the right help, a lot of stories can turn out happy.
Right. Exactly.
And can I just give you a plug?
Oh, sure.
So I love me some Elizabeth, and I have been around a lot of attorneys in my life, whether it's been as a Superior Court mediator or coaching or whatever it is, as just a regular old person. And I have a very difficult time sometimes referring people. Ask me all the time about different things, and I just don't know who to tell them to go to. I do now. I love this woman. I think she's fabulous. She has a heart and a soul, and as an attorney, that's a really good combination. And I honor you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
We try our firm. We hope is different. We're very caring and we want it to be a safe place, and we really do. Our focus, if children are involved, is what's in the best interest of the child. You're our client, but your child is our most important thing. So that's sort of our focus. So you and I have that same mindset. So,
yeah. I mean, when I mediated, we put the picture of the child right there, and that's
who you're. That's the most important person.
Yes, that is the focus of a lot. And well, it's the focus period. Right. So I do appreciate that in you, and
Well, thank you.
So
what have you got coming up? Any talks? Any books?
Oh my
God!
Tons. So if you have, my next book is In Just One Afternoon Listening to the Hearts of Twins, and then I'm doing In Just One Afternoon Listening to the Hearts of Millennials. Thank you for asking. And then I'm doing In Just One Afternoon Listening to the Hearts of Divorcees. And I can't stop because I am passionate about helping people have a voice. Who may not have had a voice or that we might not have heard before. Right. And recently a gentleman, Eric McRae, who's a really nice artist here in Raleigh, North Carolina, asked me about, well, I don't know if he asked me, but he happened to mention it, so I took it as an asking, about doing one on In Just One Afternoon Listening to the Hearts of Black Fathers. I mean, so that, and then The Greatest Generation, which is the 70, 80, 90-year-olds, and I'm going on from there and doing lots of them. So if you have a story that you are passionate about sharing, or you don't know how to share it, or just think you have a story, please connect with me. because these stories are what heals. I mean, they're what heals us. They're it's what connects us to each other, right? And so it's very, very valuable. And I have lots of other things going on, events all the time, but my events are not where I'm sitting behind a desk,
Right.
signing a book. 'Cause, come on, and I'm coming like that. Not Oprah yet, but I do like to do events that bring people together where they can get something valuable out of it. And so tomorrow night I'm going to do one at Cocoon, which is a gallery in downtown Apex.
Oh, okay.
And she happens to have, I'm now promoting the men's book, so she actually has a lot of male artists. So we're doing one called The Heart and Art of Men.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we're going to
Love
talk
that.
about their art, their process, and all that kind of stuff.
That's
So-
great. So how do people get in touch with you?
So they can reach me at MarilynShannon.com. You can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me on Instagram. You can reach me on Twitter at Marilyn Listens. That's my passion, is listening. And please feel free even to call me. I mean, 919-819-8981 is my cell. And I welcome the opportunity to talk with you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. And thank you guys for joining us. And if you have any other questions about adoption, feel free to contact us at newdirectionfamilylaw.com or give us a call, 911-919-719-3470. We're happy to sit down and talk with you and tell you how exciting and how wonderful and how life-changing adoption can be and help you through that process. So we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.